Nothing yet. There's a little hope. We're starting off with the Ilpyo Park memory. So we're starting off. I like the S rank or the S memory shards we got there. Let's crack another 10. Oh, we got an SS. We got something. We got Jue Viole Grace. We got him pretty damn quick. 2 pulls. There he is. Damn. Do I keep going for the Ilpyo? That was really quick on Jue. Let me see. Let's go look at Ilpyo's abilities and see if we want to pop all of our gems now and grab him while we're at it. He's like really good for a burn team, and that's like what we are, right? Okay, stats. I really like the animation. 105% attack, inflicts a burn with 30% attack, 70% probability for 2 turns. Target is burning, extends all dots for 1 turn. Attacks all opponents with 115% attack. Inflicts 2 burns with 30% attack for 2 turns. If the target is burning, generates 40% additional damage and makes the opponent unrecoverable for 2 turns. I really like that that's an AoE unrecoverable 155% damage burning attack. Like, it's pretty good. Attacks all opponents with 130% attack and inflicts 50% of additional damage if the opponent is debuffed, and then explodes all burns to inflict 40% of additional damage per 1 applied burn on the opponent. So I mean that's huge with God Killer 0. And then he has like a weaker version of Muzaka's passive. But I'm kind of confused about the 9th tail unleashed. How do I if the hero is eliminated with burning, resurrects himself for 1 time and cannot be eliminated for 1 turn, like he has to burn to death to trigger that ability? His passive is crazy conditional. Like, that's such a crazy condition that is just so dead against so many teams that I just don't quite get why he has to burn to death. So I'm not sure. If I still needed Jue Viole Grace, then I would keep pulling, definitely. But I'm not sure if I pull just for him, because I don't really need him. If he had a better passive, I would say like, oh, he's a must-have for my burn team. But I don't even think I'm gonna fit him into the burn team. Yeah, but Jue Viole Grace has a bunch of good abilities. We'll check him out in a minute and go into detail. My burn team, like Hilda increases dot damage. I mean, if I increase dot damage by 100%, I don't really care if I blow up the burns. I just don't think I don't think he really has a spot for what I'm gonna do. Oh, you got him back to back? Nice, man. I got Jue Viole Grace on my 2nd pull, so I'm kind of like, I think I'm good. I don't know if I want to grab him or not. I mean, he's not a limited character, so I think that's it. I think I'll just get him later because he's not a limited character. Yeah. Because that saves me like 8 pulls. I mean, I need Queen No Name. I need Prime King Uma. Okay, let's do the rest of the dailies and get everything else knocked out. I'm happy we got it done in like 2 minutes. Like 2 pulls, 2 minutes. Like I was happy getting the Jue Viole Grace. I kind of want Ilpyo just to play around with, but I don't know. I want to see somebody play around with him. I want to see if his passive is really that bad. Where's my roommate? I'm like so thirsty. I wonder if she'll give me water. We gotta do all of our arena stuff. Damn, nothing. Ilpyo looks decent. Yeah, I'll go over all the units again. What is it? What is up with the music? Pretzel, like don't play the bad stuff. Okay, so Jue Viole Grace. He has attacks the opponent with the highest attack by 130%, deals additional damage by 10% attack for 2 times. For every additional damage, there's a 50% probability to decrease the opponent's attack by 30% for 2 turns. That's decent. It's not bad. Does some extra damage, so it's pretty good. Removes all buffs applied to one opponent in the front row and the back row, and prevents them from receiving buffs for 1 turn. Afterwards, it pierce attacks the opponents by 150% attack. So it's not an AoE cleanse, but it purges buffs. So he's like if you're fighting a boss like Kaiser, that's a great 2-cost purge. Like really, really cheap debuff unit. Pierce attacks all opponents by 120% attack, inflicts 170% additional damage to the opponent with the highest HP, and stuns the opponent for 1 turn. So it's never bad to have a stun. But it's not AoE, so... Well, yeah, it is. This one, my bad. And then it has a single target little bonus. Yeah, it's a good attack. And then... if the hero doesn't have any debuff when attacking, it boosts 15% attack and 15% critical hit damage up to 75%. So he just buffs the fuck out of himself. He's really strong. And then if he has any debuff, he removes a debuff, recovers 10% of his HP, creates a shield with 10% HP. So he's still going to take a lot of burn damage from God Killer 0, but he has his own little tiny mini tan, you know? So decent passive. And then he has a good EX ability, where he attacks all opponents by 100% attack and additionally attacks one random opponent equal to 20% attack 5 times. The opponent that is hit by the random attack has a 30% probability of being stunned for 1 turn. So, so I guess that's like 5 chances to stun somebody at 30% chance. So like 5 30% rolls to see if they get stunned from that ult. So he's good, and his entire kit, like there's nothing about his kit that's kind of weird. But Ilpyo has the weird conditional. We went over his abilities. He basically has a lot of burn synergy. Inflicts 2 burns here. AoE burn infliction with a damage increase if they are burning, makes them unrecoverable. AoE 130% attack, 50% additional damage if they're debuffed at all, and then it explodes all the burns to inflict 40% additional damage per burn. But it's and all that's good. Nothing there is really bad. But his passive's kind of odd. So we just looked at Jue Viole Grace, who just anytime he attacks, he's removing a debuff, or if he's not debuffed, he's just buffing himself up. Like you're getting. No matter what, you're getting really, really good value from Jue Viole Grace's passive. But you have to be debuffed to get value from Ilpyo. He doesn't get any value from his passive if he's not debuffed, which can be tricky, but not too tricky in this current meta. But then if the hero is eliminated with burning, resurrects himself for 1 time and cannot be eliminated for 1 turn. But like, that would kind of be okay. Like, I wouldn't mind it so much if I did Samyong Miol Dogak. I can't believe they translated they gave us all these other weird translations they actually left this correct, but whatever. That's cool. So, if this self burnt, like if he did his ability and then applied a burn to himself for like 10% attack or something, I'd be like, oh, okay, I get it, because he at least is always able to kill himself with a burn and activate his passive. But he doesn't. He doesn't like self burn. So like, what do you do if you're not fighting God Killer Zero or something? Like, where is this ninth tail gonna come out? But if it wasn't for this passive, I was gonna snap grab him. Yeah, he's PvP. But even then, he's so niche. Like, I would counter pick him against a burn team. But it's not like there aren't better units to do. Like, you could just take Jue Viole Grace. I mean, but aren't they, like, he detonates the burns, but wouldn't that do, like, less damage to Kaiser? Because, she could actually mitigate the chain 3 versus just the raw burns attacking her at the end of turn. Like, that's what I was like. Do you lose DPS in some spots detonating those burns versus just letting Hilda let the dot damage increase? So and I couldn't find where I'd really, I guess he'd like replace, I mean, Kaiser could be Hilda. I guess Ilpyo could be Bam. I just don't, yeah. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10s. 10 burns, so that's what, 400% extra damage on his S3. But if we increase the dot damage, that's 60% attack, so that's 600% damage if we just let Hilda do her work. So I mean, aren't we getting more damage from Hilda? Unless it's like 40% of the S3's attack, which would give it like a crazy high multiplier. Like if it does some weird way of like, maybe it could be higher from the chain 3, depending on how it like how the formula works. Yeah, huge update, Morphine. Huge update. Yeah, talking about the Ninetales Ilpyo and the Zero fire combo. It looks okay. Like it doesn't look like it's bad, but I was just trying to do some mental math here and figure out if it was actually like his passive like if his passive was a little bit different. If it had some more synergy with burns or anything, then I'd say like, oh, he's easily a must-have unit. But since his passive is such a nothing, you know, he's not like boosting fire units or you don't have to have him on your fire team because you can just run a debuff team and it's basically the same thing. Like, I wish Ilpyo made you go from debuff to burn. Like, I wish he was the unit that made you go, I have to be burn only. But I don't see that. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't see that. Yeah, he seems like just an extra burn unit for your PvP team. And I guess if you trigger Hwar Young and you give him the crit damage boost and everything, I mean, he's gonna absolutely fucking nuke some shit. But I play a burn team. I don't exactly need him to do that on a chain 3. Like, I would use his chain 2. I would apply some more debuffs, but I wouldn't use his chain 3, and he doesn't have an anti-death mechanism. Yeah. So if they one-shot me, like, I have to burn to death to stay immortal. You're not gonna pull that off. Like, they'll just one-shot you too, yeah. And you don't need. He's he's more of like one-shotting like some weird advent boss, or like not even an event boss, I mean, you know? He's good for killing Phoenix, but we don't need like a Phoenix unit, you know? If you look at Jue Viole Grace, he's doing the same thing. He purges a debuff on attack, or he heals himself for like 10%. So he purges a debuff and heals himself for 10%, or he just straight up boosts his like attack. It's just not the best version. Muzaka gives himself 1 turn of damage immunity, purges a debuff, and heals for 10%. So Ilpyo has the worst passive debuff out of the units that do passively remove debuffs. So Ilpyo's, he has a recycled passive, and it's the worst version of the passive we've seen yet. Especially, it's extremely conditional too, with he has to burn to death, which I find it really weird when you give units like conditions that the unit has no way of activating themselves. So I don't know, is that like a translation error, or is that legit? Like, how does, I mean, I guess he's a burn unit that you only use when you know that they're using burn units. So it's basically, if you're fighting God Killer Zero, this unit will come back to life once. And it would be really cool if it was like, if this unit burnt to death, he revives like 2-3 times. I would be like, wow, you just cannot, like, if you're a fire team and you're fighting Ilpyo, you just fucked up, son, because he does not burn to death. But it's only 1 time. Like, and he has, like, I have to set all this up, burn him to death, and he comes back to life 1 time? It might as well just be a flat immortality. And it'd be instantly stronger. Now maybe they didn't want him to be so resilient because his two chains fairly good at applying burns. It's a really nice strong AoE, so maybe they didn't want him to be too resilient on top of that. But then you have King Dark, who's straight up like the nuke. Like, King Dark's amazing. Full damage, like, awakening tree and everything. And I'm like, he stays alive for 2 turns, so why can't Ilpyo have a little bit more oomph here? So I'm a little bit disappointed in Ilpyo, because, like, I don't know, like, who said that with the, his C3 seems broken if you go pure DPS with a fire stacking team. And that's what I was going to say too, like, this game doesn't have a debuff limit. So I could have 30, 40, 50 burns. If there was a debuff limit, then he would actually be a lot stronger. Because if like you could only apply 10 debuffs, then you could max out your debuff limit, chain 3, explode your debuffs, and then reset your debuffs and put another 10 debuffs on him, like in 1 turn or something, right? But there's no limit on the debuffs, so you just kind of always want to increase the dot damage and just let them keep going, and that should out, like, 40% damage from his burns on his chain 3 versus 60% attack off of regular burns with Hilda. You're losing damage, I believe, overall if you use his chain 3, because there's no debuff limit. If there was a debuff limit, you could stack it up to realize more damage. And I think, like, if you're using his chain 3, he'll have good spikes, but I think long term, just paper fucking math in my fucking head, right? Just guessing. But I think long term, Hilda out damages him by millions, like, the longer the fight goes. So I don't think he's the best PvE wise. PvP, very, very niche. And like we were like, yeah, like Epic and me are saying, like, you should be basically immune to burns. Otherwise, why even just bother reviving 1 time? I think Jue Viole Grace is good. So, but I wouldn't go crazy on this banner. You could skip this banner if you don't need either of these units, and it wouldn't be the end of the world. But Jue Viole Grace is good. Now, I like him. He has his EX skill stuns. He has attack down on the chain 1, which is pretty good for some event bosses and stuff that you can go up against. His chain 3 stuns. And his chain 2, his chain 2 removes debuffs. So if you don't have Hwaryung, if you have Hwaryung leveled up, you don't quite need Jue Viole Grace because you can do some other things in the advents and everything that you're going to. But he's a really good ice unit for your ice team. And he'll work. He'll be a lot cheaper than Hwaryung if you're trying to like fight another Kaiser event. Because you could just spam his 2-chain and purge those debuffs versus setting up the 3-chain and the mana and everything. So he's a more affordable. He's probably the best debuffer unit that we have. It depending on how you want to argue about it. You know, I always value the way I'm looking at it. If I'm looking to do something, I always look for the cheapest ability that does that so that I can rotate more high damage spells off other units, or skills, in this game, skills. That'll be it for tonight. As always, I love having you guys. Appreciate everyone who tuned in tonight. The patch notes, they look pretty good. I'm really excited about the new game modes. We'll try out some Guild Wars soon. We will be doing, the real-time arena. I mean, whenever that comes out, or we can get into that, we'll definitely be wearing the shit out of the real-time arena, so I'm excited about that. We got the new unit that we wanted, and we didn't get Ilpyo Park yet, so we'll get him later. I'm fairly certain that we nailed everything about his abilities. I'll see if anyone posts anything that like we didn't expect, but I'm fairly comfortable we know how his performance will be in a wide variety of teams, and nothing must have, like nothing too crazy there. Now Jue Viole Grace you definitely need if you don't have a debuff unit. You definitely need him, but other than that, not really a problem. So appreciate everyone who tuned in today. Like I said, I will be back likely tomorrow after some work. We'll do a stream around like 5 p.m. ish, depending on when I get out of work. If it's a bit later, it'll be a bit later. So sometime tomorrow evening we'll do a stream, play around with our characters a bit more, try to level up, and just have a good time. I would like to win one more of these so I can get